Daf Yomi, Tractate Bava Batra, page 69, at the top of the page, 69a, Samach Tes, Amud Aleph, Gemara. My avanim shehin l'tzarka, hacha targimu, avne de achpa, ula amar avanim hasiduros, Ligader, v'hatani rebechia, avanim tsevuros ligader, tani, sedurosi, sedurot. The Mishnah teaches that one who sells a field has sold the stones in the field, therefore its use. The Gemara clarifies what is meant by stones that are for its use. Here in Babylonia, they interpreted it as follows: stones placed on the sheaves in the field to protect them from being scattered by the wind. Ula says the Mishnah is referring to stones that are arranged for the future building of a fence for the field. The Gemara asks, but didn't Rabbi Chia teach in a Braita that there are stones that are piled up for the future building of a fence and not necessarily arranged? The Gemara answers, teach. Rabbi Chia said they are stones that are arranged for the future building of a fence. Hacha targimu avne de achba l'Rabbi Meir de mitaknan af al gav de lo machatan l'Rabbanan hu de machatan. The Gemara elaborates on the two explanations. It was stated that here in Babylonia they interpreted the Mishnah as referring to stones that are placed on the sheaves. According to Rabbi Meir, this should be understood as referring to stones that are ready to be used to protect the sheaves, even though they're not yet placed on them. This is in keeping with Rabbi Meir's opinion that whenever a place is sold, all of the accompaniments that are necessary for its proper utilization are included in the sale. C78b. According to the rabbis, the Mishnah is referring specifically to stones that are already placed on the sheaves. Ula da'amar, avani masiduros, ligadir, l'Rabbi Meir de mitaknan, afal gav de lo sidran, l'Rabbanan hu de sidran. And according to Ula, who says that the Mishnah is referring to stones that are arranged for the future building of a fence for the field. According to Rabbi Meir, stones that are ready to be used for building a fence are also included in the sale, even though they are not yet arranged for that purpose. According to the rabbis, the Mishnah is referring specifically to stones, quoting to the Chabis, as they say it in Brazil. Chabis. According to Chabis. According to the rabbis, Chabis. The Mishnah is referring specifically to stone that are already arranged for building a fence. Ve'etakanim shekaram shebakerem shehin letzorko kanim my aviditahu Amar debe Rabbi Yanai kanima mechulokin shemamidim tachas hagafanim Rabbi Meir de Mishapyan afal gav telo mekoman de Rabbanan hu dimokman. The Gemara continues with its clarification of the Mishnah, which teaches that one who sells a field has also sold the reeds in the vineyard that are for its use. The Gemara asks, with regard to the reeds, what is their purpose for the vineyard? The sages of the school of Rabbi Yanai said these are the reeds that are split on top and placed under the vines so that the boughs of the vines can rest on them. According to Rabbi Meir, this is referring to reeds that have been smoothed and made ready for its purpose, even though they are not yet set in their place. According to the rabbis, the Mishnah refers specifically to reeds that are already set in their place. That are already set in their place. Okay. V'estua mechaber zakar gav afal gav dimitai lemichtzar v'eschitzas kanim shepechu sami beis rova afal gav dilimi. The Gemara continues expanding the Mishnah, which includes among the components that are sold in the field the produce that is still attached to the ground. The Gemara comments, even though the time has already come for the produce to be cut down, it is included in the sale since it is still attached to the ground. The Mishnah also includes among the things that are sold with a field the cluster reeds that occupy less than a beit rova. The Gemara notes, even though these reeds are thick, they are still classified as part of the field. V'tashomera she'eno asuya b'tit afal gav delo kavia be'ara v'tacharuf she'eno murkav v'tbetulat hashikma afal gav de'ilimi. The Mishnah teaches that when it sells a field with it, the wash station that is not plastered with clay, the Gemara comments, even though it is not fixed in the ground and can still be moved, since it is not plastered, it is not significant enough to be considered an independent entity and is considered part of the field. The Mishnah also includes the following among the components that are sold with a field: and the carob tree that has not been grafted, and the untrimmed sycamore. The Gemara notes, even though they are big and thick, since they have not yet reached the stage of grafting, in the case of the carob, of trimming, in the case of the sycamore, they are considered part of the field. Aval lo machar savanim she'ein letzarka remeir de lo metaknan Rabbanan de mechatan. The Gemara proceeds to explain the second half of the Mishnah, which teaches, but he has not sold along with a field of stones that are not designated for use in the field, on the assumption that the Mishnah speaks of stones that are placed on the sheaves to prevent them from being scattered. According to Rabbi Meir, the Mishnah is referring to stones that are not ready to be used for this purpose. Whereas according to the Chabis, according to the rabbis, even if the stones are already to be used to protect the sheaves, they are not included in the sale of them if they are not yet placed on them. According to Ula, who says, Avadim haseduros legader Rabbi Meir dlomitaknan Avadim dlosidron. According to Ula, who says that the Mishnah is referring to stones that are arranged for the future building of a fence for the field, according to Rabbi Meir, this clause addresses a case where the stones were not ready to be used for this purpose, whereas according to the Chabis, according to the rabbis, it addresses a case where the stones were not yet arranged for building a fence, even though they were ready to be used for that purpose. Even though they are ready to be used for that purpose. Rabbi Meir משפיין לרבנן למקום ולא את התפוע הצילוב שם מן הקרקע ואף על גב צריך להרע. Okay, what does this mean? What does this mean? The Mishnah teaches that one who sells a field has not sold the reeds in the vineyard, and that are not designated for use. The Gemara explains, according to Rabbi Meir, this is referring to a case where the reeds are not smoothed, whereas, according to the Chabis, The rabbis, the reference is to reeds that are not yet in their place, even if they are smooth. The Mishnah teaches one who sells a field has also not sold the produce that is detached from the ground. The more comments, the produce is not included in the sale, even though it still requires ground. That is, it needs to be left in the field in order to dry out completely. דקתיני אומר רבי ברבא אמר רבי יוחנן לא חיצה זכרים בלבד אלא אפילו עלולה קטנה שבשמים יש לה שם בפני עצמה אינה נמכרת עמה אמר רב פאפא הוא דקראו לה ורדה דפלגיה. The Mishnah teaches that one who sells a field has not sold the cluster of reeds that occupy a Beit Rova. The Gemara comments, and this is so even though they are thin, and since they occupy the area of the Beit Rova, they are considered a separate entity and not of the field. Concerning this ruling, Rabbi Yehoshua says that Rabbi Yochanan says it is not only a cluster of reeds that is considered a separate entity and therefore not included in the sale. Rather, even a small garden bed of species that does not occupy the area of Beit Rova but has a distinct name is not sold along with the field. Rabbi Papa said, what this means is that all people call it the roses of so and so, thereby establishing it for a name of its own. Below השומרה עשויה בתית אף על גב שמחה ברבה בלא את חרוב המורכב לא סדן השקמה אף על גב דקתיני. The Mishnah teaches that the sale does not include the wash station that is plastered with clay. The Gemara comments that this is the halacha even if it is attached to the ground and it's still considered a separate entity and not part of the field. The Mishnah teaches he that also not sold the carob tree has been grafted, and he has not sold the sycamore tree. The Gemara notes, even though they are small, they are considered their own entity. By Rav Elazar, Rav Elazar asked, "Milim mal vinos shel pesachim mahu ikadechari bitna loy boyalach chodechamra kiti boyalach denektini basike my teku." This is probably taken number 161. Yeah. Apropos to this discussion of a watch station that is attached to the ground, the Gemara cites a discussion of the sale of a house. Rabbi Elazar raises a dilemma with regard to wooden floor frames. What is the halacha? Are they sold together with the house or not? The Gemara explains the question. Do not raise the dilemma in the case where the frames are attached to the house of clay, as they are easily attached to the house and sold along with it. When do you raise this dilemma? Is where they are connected only with small wooden pegs. What is the ruling in that case? No resolution was found to this question, and so the dilemma shall stand teku unresolved. According to Rabbi Aaron Yeshua Pessin, is safe for teku. This should be the 161st teku in Talmud Bavli, 161 out of 317. Okay. Boy Rabbi Yirmiyah asked another question which was resolved in teku. Melivas Chalon is Mahu. Miamrin Lagoy Almahu de Avidi. Or there is a similar dilemma about what is considered the sale of a house. For example, like with regard to window frames, what is the halacha? Are they sold together with the house or not? Do we say that they serve merely as an ornament, or are they not included in the sale? And the seller can remove them from the house and keep them for himself, or perhaps since they're attached to the window, they are attached. The dilemma shall stand resolved. Teku number 162. Viter Shas, another one. By Rav Yirmiyah, Belivas Karamata, Mao Kol Hecha, Dimitali Hada, Lo Tiboylach, Lo Metalti Ki Diboylach, Beholo Lo Metaltil Mai Teku. Similarly, Rav Yirmiyah raised a dilemma with regard to stands for legs of a bed that are placed under the legs to prevent them from being damaged by moisture was the halacha. The Gemara explains the question. Do not raise the dilemma whether the stands move along with the bed as they are along with us, and we are therefore not considered part of the house. Where you can raise this dilemma is where they do not move along with the bed. What is the ruling in that case? No resolution was found for this question earlier, and there was a dilemma that shall stand unresolved. Teiku. V'lo esacharuv hamurkav v'lo sadan shikma. The Mishnah teaches one who sells a field has not sold the carrot and that has been grafted, and he has not sold the sycamore tree. And that's it for 69A.